Mr. Spyro, you finally doing it! Yes, I am. Well, this is the first part. So, when I was constructing this particular review, obviously I have been here for a very long time. I have seen this game go through several changes, several actual directors, and when I was putting the review together, I brung up some of Hi-Rez's history or Paladins' history, and it just kept making the review too long, so I was like, I don't know. So, if you're watching this, this is literally going to be a 40-ish minute podcast of my personal history with the game and an overview of Hi-Rez in general. So, it's just going to kind of be there as a, when I do part 2 in a few days, or when you see part 2, because part 2 is also nearly done. So when you see part 2, if I'm referencing anything, it's from this. This is just here to say, look, Hi-Rez did this, this and this, and I joined in with this update. I saw the Stardust, the VIP, OB64, you get the idea. So whenever I reference anything inside of the second part, then it's to do with this first part, so you need to listen to this first part first. There are a few visuals, but not many. It's just more listen to where I joined and how I felt about a couple of things, and why people, when they see Hi-Rez, they're like, oh, it's just Hi-Rez. They don't put any effort in, they just copy stuff. It's not going to be the exact history. I know I've got to say this because I know Blame's going to be like, oh, it's so bad, Mr. Spyro. Just, that's not how it happened, because I think when I'm talking, I say that Hand of the Gods, their Hearthstone knockoff, came before Paladins, when it was like worked on at basically the same time, but it doesn't really matter. The point is, they made a Dota clone, then a Hearthstone clone, then a Overwatch clone, or vice versa. It doesn't matter the order. The main point was that they made several clones in a short amount of time. Oh, but they're not clones, Mr. Spyro! Shh! I know what you're going to say. That's for part 2. This is just how people look at Hi-Rez on a whole, just ready to reference it in part 2. That's what I mean. It's not going to be an exact history. It's not going to be perfect. It's just a brief overview for when you're going to see part 2, and when we reference them copying people, when we reference them doing these things, and we talk about why they did these things and how they integrate into Paladins, it's because I'm referencing this video that you should have watched. Okay, Blame? Okay, Raticate? Good. So with that said, just sit back, have a listen, and then in a couple of days we'll release part 2. As I say, I'm kind of doing a Mario Odyssey video, so we're going to do this, then we're going to do another Mario Odyssey tomorrow, then I may upload the Mega Man 11 review because that's slightly short, and then we'll do Paladins part 2, or I'll upload Paladins part 2, and then you'll understand why I put everything in this video. Alright, let's begin. Mr. Spyro, why is there no Paladins video yet, Mr. Spyro? Silly Spyro butts, no Paladins video. Oh, that's so bad, Mr. Spyro. No Paladins video still. Well, you're getting it now, Blame. You're getting it because it came out of beta the other month and now it's a full product. And I even waited 2 whole months. I looked at their events, I saw the changes, and we'll get into that when I do the history thing in a minute as a brief oversight to get to where we are today. But now, it's fully out, I've given it its chance, I've waited a month for them to fix their shit, and if there's anything bad, and I lay into it, there's no, it's in early access shield to hide behind anymore. So with that said, let's get right into the review! Oh, don't worry, that segue combined with the Rat King song will make sense later on. After all, rats gotta stick together, am I right, Hi-Rez? But, as I said in the intro, this is first going to be a brief history of not only Paladins, but our local game developing rat Hi-Rez. So, once upon a time, there was a game called League of Legends. It was okay, but it got better-ish. Then, like Epic Games did to PUBG, Steam swooped in and made Dota 2, which many argued is better than League of Legends. And that's your two. Do you like PUBG or Fortnite? That's really the only two. If you try and bring up any others like Call of Duty Blackout or Radical Heights, they fall by the wayside. It's always ever two big ones that got the formula right, they saw the market, and then they start to rival each other, because when Dota was becoming popular, League of Legends started to up its game. When League of Legends started to up its game, Dota started to up its game. You see how it works? There was two. And this will carry on all the way through as this kind of market leaders lead. They don't follow incentive that is going to plague pretty much this entire 3-part story. But back in the day, League of Legends came out, then Steam swooped in with Dota 2. And again, it was slightly better. Well, now it's time for Hi-Rez to cash in on that sweet Dota 2 LOL coins with Smite. Remember when JonTron advertised Smite?
So, you want to be a professional Smite player? I hear you, I heard you. You're going to need a few things. 1, a headphones. 2, a keyboard and mouse. 3, computer. But most important of all, you're going to need me to show you the way. Oh, and I can't forget. How about a cold brew? Top it off. Life's a circus. I'm the clown.
Yeah. And then it was never talked about again, as Hi-Rez was literally Cliff Bleszinski at that point. Like, they just wanted that MOBA goodness, failing to realise that MOBA players already had a MOBA. It was called Dota 2 or League of Legends. A lesson in history that unfortunately is doomed to repeat itself. To say by the time Smite was in full release just last year, well, they are very late to the party, and we'll get into the lateness because Hi-Rez have slight credit, and I can see why in a minute. However, the world had already moved on, but of course, they never finished the game before starting a new one. Something which will once again become apparent as we go across this review. March 2016, Overwatch comes out, takes the world by storm. A new type of shooter, not just a first-person garbage that has oversaturated the market with things like Battlefield and Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. Ugh. It is new, a colourful world, a cast of bright characters, each hero playing different. It was Team Fortress 2 on steroids. It was praised. Even the loot boxes that all the games were being shouted at for, well, Overwatch is the golden girl, and so all the Blizzard fanboys, you can't touch them loot boxes. And again, Blizzard at the time was our market leader. Market leaders lead, they don't follow. But as League had Dota as its rival, and PUBG has Fortnite as its rival, well, there must always be a rival to the Titan. And this time, Hi-Rez was on the ball. While they may have kilted slightly on Smite and completely fucking failed with Hand of the Gods, which, by the way, was a Hearthstone clone that they released just before Paladins, and we don't talk about the Hearthstone clone Hand of the Gods anymore. But this time, third time's a charm, they were on point and on the ball, announcing Paladins, champions of the realm, which, spoilers by the way, did not come before Overwatch, and any time Hi-Rez says that they were working on it before Overwatch, that's a total lie. It was just mainly to get Hi-Rez to have that big push, that big attention-grabbing moment of, you liked Overwatch? We were making it before and here it is. It was kind of a lie to fool you, but the lie worked. And after all the people saw this lie, they kind of believed it, and they kind of looked into it. And yeah, let's face it, and this is going to come up in the character bit, it was a believable lie, but people could see through it. Like, a big European knight with a giant blue rectangular shield that also has a very thick accent. I wonder where you got that from. So yeah, like it's Reinhardt. Like again, we'll get into this in character comparison, but that's Reinhardt. Don't even try and justify that shit with me. But again, it was a suspension of disbelief. The lie worked to draw people in. It was a minor transgression, and as competition goes, it was good and healthy that the lie worked and people started to flock to see what all this was about. A free version of Overwatch. How interesting. And it granted some good press. It garnered a lot of positive press and became the rival. Like the other gigantic, it tried and it crashed and it failed. You know, there was many failures. Gigantic, Battleborn, Lawbreakers. There was many that tried, but Hi-Rez stuck in there and they got that sweet number 2 spot that everyone is just basically hoping for. You know, Steam hoped for that number 2 against League. It got it. Fortnite hoped for that number 2 against PUBG. It got it. Everybody's always looking to be that number 2 rival, so you either pick one or the other. If you come in 3rd place, you're a follower, you're a cash grab, you fail. Don't even try to come in 3rd place. But again, Hi-Rez, they grabbed that 2nd place. They snagged it away from Battleborn, snagged it away from Lawbreakers, snagged it away from Gigantic, and it was good. Jeff Kaplan even admitting that he had played Paladins, and through it, it was an interesting idea, a different experience, and all like this. Then, we're now going to just spin on a little bit. Then, Fortnite became popular. And when Fortnite became popular, obviously PUBG was the first. Spyro, it's H1Z1. H1Z1 came first. PUBG was a rival to. I know about the history of Battle Royale. We'll get into the history of Battle Royale in part 2. This is just mainly a flash forward into the future before we wind the clocks back to Paladins. But yeah, then came the whole Battle Royale craze, and like Smite that tried to cash in on Dota and League of Legends, like Hand of the Gods that tried to cash in on Hearthstone, like Paladins that tried to cash in on Overwatch, the second that Fortnite really took off, really burst into flames and was like, I am Katniss Everdeen, the girl on fire, and everybody was like, ooh, Katniss, you're a fancy little thing. I'm gonna move away from PUBG to go check out that feisty little thing. The second that Fortnite exploded into flames and everybody was like, ooh, well, guess what Hi-Rez did? Do you think that they said, no, we're being very successful with Paladins, we're on pace with Overwatch and everything's going good, we don't need to chase Battle Royale, we should just keep continuing working on Paladins? Do you think they did that? Did they bollocks? Did they bollocks? And obviously Paladins is not really being worked on anymore. It's still in an unfinished state, which we'll get into. And like Smite and Hand of the Gods, they pretty much just quit development of it to go chase the next trend. And now they're making Realm Royale and they're trying to push Realm Royale. But that is a story for part 2. Once we get to Battle Royale, that's a story for the future. Let's pretend that didn't happen. But let's also just let's put a pin on it, stick it in the wall up there, because it is going to become relevant later, and you can see this pattern of, oh, here's Smite, it's a Dota clone, here's Hand of the Gods, it's a Hearthstone clone, here's Paladins, it's an Overwatch clone, and now here's Realm Royale, which is a Fortnite clone. So while that last one is for the future, just put a pin on it. So that's the brief history. There are other things like OB64, and that's what we're going to cover right now in the rest of the gameplay. So we'll do a in-depth history of my experience with Paladins and where I went from and to. So I went from, I think, roughly about OB45, just when Torvald got introduced, to OB 70, and then obviously the final release, which we're in now. So that's a brief history of Hi-Rez, just to show you the kind of development track that they've got going on. And now I'm going to cover a very brief history of Paladins and the way that the community reacted to each of the betas, and then we will get into its final release, where we are today and what's going on with it, and obviously like graphics, music. Is it a good game? What happened here? So let's go over to the actual in-depth history of Paladins. So as I said, Paladins was basically made as the answer to Overwatch. After Battleborn's failure, there was an opening in the market, and it got it. As I say, it got in, and it got its fame. I didn't play it in the alpha, nor did I play it in the early beta, so things could have been radically different back then. But I got in around the same time as everybody else. Overwatch had been out for about maybe 6 months. They'd had the first 2 events of Halloween and Christmas, and at that point people knew what Overwatch was. They knew how the hero-based genre worked, and people were now into the idea of the hero-based genre. And around Christmas was where we were at OB45, and as I said in the intro, Blaine was like, you should try Paladins, and I had seen it, and like many others, I was like, ooh, looks like an Overwatch clone. But I was intrigued by the fantasy setting, but I was like, ooh, bit of an Overwatch clone, but being a reviewer, I'll give it my fair shout. I mean, it's free, what's the worst that could happen? It's a free thing. If I don't like it, I'll just uninstall it. So I downloaded it, and I got to, as I say, about OB45. This was just after like the last major gameplay shift, like where they'd gone, hey, this is where old beta cuts off and new final beta, well, what we thought was final, kicks in. And after I downloaded it, I was like, oh, well, this looks visually appealing, very nice. We've got a lovely array of characters. We've got this clearly Reinhardt clone. I mean, that one's that one's a bit bad. We got a Torbjorn clone. Ugh. Oh, but shit, dude! We got a dragon! Oh, that's cool! I'm a dragon! Oh, love it. Oh, we got Shantae. We got the half genie hero. She's a healer. I love it. It's looking good. She makes clones of herself. Oh, I haven't seen Mercy do that. That's a new character. There's no Overwatch character that makes clones of herself, and the clones can heal. Okay, so there is clearly some uniqueness here. There's some interest here. And as I was playing with Blame, he explained the rules to me, where it is basically the same. You are a team of 5 rather than 6. You select your hero, and you have to capture the objective and push the payload. Great, that's fine. But Spyro, there's a difference, Mr. Spyro. What's the difference, Blame? Well, you've got these cards. Each character has got these cards. Oh, okay. And what you got to do is you've got to select 5 cards that you think will best suit you, and you can put 15 points into these cards. So you can have like a 1, a 1, a 3, a 1 and a 2, or you could have a 5, and a 1, 1, 1, you know, whatever order you like. You just got to pick 5 cards first. So pick some heroes that you like. Alright, well, I like Ying as a healer. I'm going to take that. I like Drogos. I like the dragon because I'm a dragon as me damage. I don't want to use Reinhardt. I want to pick someone different. And at this point, Torvald was just barely out. But I was like, hey, I'll take this old man with the Geodude hand. I'll take old man Geodude there. He looks kind of cool. He's got his own shield, and he looks like he's got a Symmetra beam, but not really. I like that. I'll take that. And then as a flanker, I mean, I don't know what a flanker is because remember, Overwatch doesn't have flankers. I mean, I guess I'll take this cat girl. She looks alright. I'll take this cat girl. And then it's like, okay, pick your decks. Alright, well, for Drogos, I mean, more damage is good. I'll take Salvo. I'll take more damage on my rockets. I'll take more damage via your lava ball. Because, like, he spits out a lava ball. And if you shoot it, it explodes and deals damage. So you can have it do more damage. And it's like, alright, I'll pick these cards. And then I picked all my sets, and it's like, right, put the points in how best you want to model your character. Okay, done, good. And now we're just going to get into a game, and you can use each one of the 4, see how you like them. And I played a lot of games with each character. I played a lot of games with Drogos, Ying, Torval, and Maeve, and I liked them. Well, I mean, I liked Maeve, but I'm an absolutely fucking terrible flanker, and I would never play a flanker if I really don't have to, and anytime I go into ranked and I'm the last one on the list, I'm like, listen guys, I can't flank, especially not in a ranked game. Don't make me flank in a ranked game. I mean, I really like Maeve, I really like the Wraith suit, I love the subwoofer suit, but please don't make me flank in a ranked game or you're just going to fucking hate me. And they're like, okay, that's fine. So, yeah, flanking is my weakness and not good. But for the other classes, Ying, you should have seen my previous Ying match. I wonder if I've still got it saved, but if I haven't, I got 250,000 healing as Ying. Like, as a healer, I'm on point with Ying. So, I was having fun. I'd learned what the characters did. I'd learned that this set of cards, this combination of cards best suits me. I've learned that these particular points in these cards best suit me. And I've learned about the talents, because Drogos, for example, has several talents, which are basically legendary cards, and I'm going to call them legendary cards throughout this review, and I know there's going to be people that are going to be like, they're not fucking legendaries, they're talents! They were always called talents. No, they weren't. When I joined, they were legendary cards. They were gold, shiny cards that give you an extra boost to whatever stat you put it in. They were legendaries, and after, like, what, 20? Because we're on OB... No, because it's 45, so even plus 20 is only 65. So after, like, 20 or more, probably even 25 betas or 25 builds of saying it's legendary, you're not going to get me to call them talents. I can't unlearn that. I can't unlearn the fact that after 20 betas you're just like, they're not legendaries anymore, so I'm going to keep calling them legendaries. But yeah, so it's like Drogos has 2 in particular where the jetpack on your back, because he's a wingless dragon, so he's a bit of a lizard rather than a dragon, but we still love him. But yeah, so it's like you can either make the wings on his back or the jetpack on his back have more fuel so that you can fly longer, or you can have the lava bubble explode with a bigger radius. And it was a really unique concept. It was a good concept. Like, every Drogos you face, like, my Drogos is different from Blame's Drogos, that's different from Amanetta's Drogos, that's different from Frostheart's Drogos, that's different from Ferb's Drogos, that's different from Komori's Drogos. Everybody each plays their own build that they're most comfortable with, so you'll never fight the same person. And that was really refreshing, because with Overwatch it's like, this Widowmaker and that Widowmaker, they're exactly the same, they've got the same damage output, they've got the same skills, and it comes down to a test of, like, what's the word? I want to say test of skill. It comes down to a kind of test of skill, but more like it's basically whoever shot first. Whereas with Paladins, with these cards, even if, for example, let's take a glass cannon versus a tanky pea shooter, you might do a lot of damage. Like, just say I was playing the glass cannon, I might be able to kill your Drogos in a single hit. If my rocket hits you, you're dead. Like, you're just going to get wiped. But the other Drogos, the pea shooting tank, he may only do 1 or 2 damage to me, but that 1 or 2 damage is going to build up a lot faster, and he can take more hits, whereas I can take less hits. My big explosion might do more damage to him, but he's got the health to tank it, whereas I don't have the health to tank it. And while he's only doing 1 damage, if I'm not careful, that 1 damage is going to mount up. So it really added this dynamic playstyle to the game. And this is not even getting into the items you can buy, like Cauterize to reduce enemy healing, or Wrecker to reduce enemy shields, or even Haven to increase your own shields. And they're the basic ones. We're not even getting into the advanced ones like Illuminate, where you can illuminate invisible enemies, because some enemies have like a Sombra cover yourself thing. So it's like, it's great. This is a fantastic option. This is a fantastic differentiation of Overwatch. It's fine. It's great. Then we start to get to the monetary aspect. It's free to play, so they would like you to buy loot boxes. Again, they were popular at the time, and they want some hefty amounts for some of the stuff, and it's like, okay, that's fine, I guess. I mean, I like some of these characters. I'll buy a few of these skins. I mean, who could resist Old Man Torvald? Like a dapper British gentleman that has a British voice and also says, let's go to the Winchester and have a cold one and wait for this to blow over. Shaun of the Dead reference. How could you not have that as Torvald's skin? Like, if you don't have that as Torvald's skin, you're doing something wrong as Torvald, because the voice suits him. That is a absolutely fabulous suit, dude. Perfect. So yeah, it was great, and that was OB 45 pretty much up to 55. So for 10 updates, we were fine. Everything was going good. Then we got OB 56, and this is where things started to kind of go downhill towards the fire pit. And in this fire pit we had the introduction of the VIP system and the Stardust system, because golden crystals were no longer enough. Spare cards could be transferred into Stardust. So now in chests you could get duplicate cards. These duplicate cards could be turned into Stardust, and this could make other cards. And it's like, oh, I mean, why did you need duplicates? That's a third currency that we really don't need. But and then we had the VIP system that was coming in next patch, where you would have a fourth online currency of VIP points. And this was basically like an exclusive shop where you had to subscribe to the membership. You got a membership for a month, and you would be able to have access to all these super cool premium skins that are even better than the common ones. I mean, you could just put you could just put the really nice skins in the shop just for a higher price. Like, I don't see why you're doing that. Then OB56 came along, and the VIP system was introduced. And needless to say, not many people liked it. The amount of money that you had to spend versus the rewards were not all that great. I mean, the best thing, arguably, was Rave Mave, the subwoofer one, as that one was clearly made with a lot of love and care. Her faceplate changes from emote to emote. She's got a holographic tail and ears. Her coat does the dubstep volume thing. That one was the one that clearly had enough love and attention into it, and that's great, that's fine, but that's really all that was that good about it. Like, most of the emotes were pretty bland, and most of the other stuff was pretty bland and not worth it. And it wasn't worth it, and a lot of people just didn't buy it. So we need a new monetization strategy. And we were fine for a while. Again, we were okay with OB57, OB58, OB59, OB60, and OB61. Then OB62 happened, and things seemed strange. Nobody knew what it was yet, but just keep it in mind. It was just like some of the cards were being changed. Nobody knew why they were being changed. Then OB63 happened. even more cards had been changed, and we had the news that the VIP system was being removed for a new system that will be announced once preparations are complete. We waited, and then Doomsday happened and OB64 happened. OB64 was basically going to rip apart everything that we love about Paladins and turn it into a pay-to-win game, as all of the cards would be now locked behind a monetization system. Certain cards, like level 10 cards, would either take an unimaginable grind, or you could just buy the level 10 cards. It was a complete and total disaster. So much so that everybody on the internet basically give a huge fuck you to Hi-Rez, saying, don't do this. Well, first it started with begging. People were both begging hysterically, saying, oh no, please don't do this, please don't do this, and also giving reasonable, rational explanations to exactly why this pay-to-win model was bad and why it wouldn't work. Their original video got a massive amount of dislikes, more than anybody could fathom. Like, we're talking on the levels of, one of those, it's the worst downvoted video of all time. They took that down and they made an update saying we're going to make an update to Cards Unbound, and people were like, no, just don't add Cards Unbound, period, it will fuck up the game. They continue to ignore fans, continue to not listen to people, even like the esports level people that clearly have enough time in this game to know the ins and outs of this game far more than a casual like me. Like, even the esports people were saying, don't fucking do it. They went and added it to the PTR. Like, they didn't care. They went and added it to the PTR. But hey, maybe we're all just exaggerating, and people have got the PTR. That's not the full live version. People have got the PTR, so maybe the people on the PTR can now give us solid answers. And unfortunately, it was the same answers that we already speculated on. Every single person that played the public test version of OB64 said it was the worst idea possible. Everybody was saying, if this goes live, I will boycott the game. If this goes live, I am done playing Paladins. If this goes live, etc, etc, etc. It went live and everybody left. I myself made the Day the Paladins Died video, which is now like my highest viewed video of all time, and there was a couple of diehard defenders. I did get a few dislikes on that video who said, oh, fuck you, you don't know what you're talking about. But fucking Paladins will still continue regardless. Bad Spyro. And it's like, but it won't. It's a failure now. It's pay to win. Nobody cares. It's done. It's over. You had your chance, and this pretty much undoes all the goodwill you bought up. People were leaving in droves. Paladins was hemorrhaging players. And after about 2 months of a continuous downward spiral and a continuous hemorrhaging of the player base, the man that made OB64, this is how little we know of this man. The man that made OB64 went away from the company to the Chinese publisher Tencent to work on the mobile version of Paladins, Paladins Strike. And another man called Hi-Rez employee Chris was left to do damage control and do the cleanup. He ripped OB64 out, and he made a statement that basically said, I'm sorry about the damage that OB64 man did. I never wanted to do it. A lot of the development team never wanted to do it. But our moneyed masters, like OB64 man, well, we have to listen to OB64 man, because OB64 man is the guy that's giving the Paladins team the funds, and if we don't do it, then all that funds will get taken away and they can just put that funds into like Smite or whatever. So we really didn't have a choice. But since the backlash, he's fucked off to China, he's working on Paladins Strike, and now it falls to me to clean up the mess. I want to work with you. I genuinely am sorry. I'm being sincere. Please forgive me. Please. I'm on my hands and knees begging you. Please forgive me. I was not OB64, man. I'm not a faceless corporation guy. My name is Chris. I am a real person. Here is my Twitter. Tweet me your concerns. I want to work with the community to fix it. Please give me a chance. And everybody did. I did as well. Because if you are genuine, there's, why try and continue to be full of malice and hate if there is clearly a man that is putting his neck on the line, begging for forgiveness and saying he wants to listen. And he did. He ripped out OB64 as a sign of good faith to say, look, now that I'm in charge, that OB64, we don't need it. It's gone. It's done. It's out of the way. It's gone now. It's good. But I don't want to just rip it out and put it back to OB63. That's OB65. Like 65, yeah, that's fine. It's now back to the way it was. But 66 through to final release, talk to me. Help me make it better. You want special events like Overwatch? We'll plan some special events. So it's like, alright, let's do it. Let's plan some special events. And there was a few events. And it was good. And then we got to final release. And that's now caught us all up to date with our current situation. I wanted to basically have these two pieces to bring us fully up to date with the history of Hi-Rez as a company and the history of Paladins. Not like fully in detail, just basically generalizing, so that now when we go into each one of their points, like the graphics, the music, etc., we can now fully judge them with context. So when I bring up a negative about them, the negative stems from this history of theirs and them like just basically cashing in on the next big thing, as we discussed in Hi-Rez's history. So you know where I'm coming from now. And when something happens, you know about pretty much the start of when I joined, to the Stardust system, to the VIP system, to OB64, to the removal of OB64 to present day. So we're all up to date on basically where Paladins is, ready to move in to the actual main part of this review. So let's go. And that's it for right now. So yeah, I'm gonna probably hear a few of you being like, well, that was kind of pointless, or it was okay. It was fine. I'm not expecting this video to be anything special. I don't expect you to think this video is anything special. This was literally just to catch you all up to date with Hi-Rez's history and my history with Paladins. So in the next part, if I said, for example, oh, and because Hi-Rez just trend chases and it's not all that bad, you'll be like, what do you mean they trend chase? Well, you don't need to ask me what I mean, because we've had this video. So by watching this video, anytime I bring up something in Paladins in the next video, in part 2, whatever you want to call it, whenever I bring something up, like, oh, it's just Hi-Rez, they just copy other people, you don't have to wonder what I mean, and I don't have to spend that extra 10 minutes explaining what I mean, as we have just explained their development history. Like when League was popular, they made Smite. When Hearthstone was popular, they made Hand of the Gods. When Overwatch was popular, they made Paladins. And now Fortnite is popular, they're making Realm Royale. I won't need to explain this, so anytime I say like, oh, Hi-Rez likes to copy people, or if I say something like the VIP system was shit, we don't need to go through that motion anymore, because you've had my history with Paladins here, and you've also had a brief history of Hi-Rez. Again, it's not a complete history. We're not going by on this particular date, at this particular time, at this particular second, Hi-Rez conceived the idea for Paladins. We're not going through like the nitty-gritty point by point. It's just a generalization to say, this is what they've made, this is how their development process is, they like to copy people. I started at OB45, here we are at final release, and here's the things that happened in the middle, like the Stardust system, the VIP system, OB64, the removal of it, and high-res Chris taking over from OB64 man, and so on. And now that you're all caught up to date, when you see part 2, you'll know exactly the things I'm talking about. So, with that being said, thank you all for watching. I will make a Mario Odyssey video tomorrow. Well, it's done, as I say, it's just part of the old batch. It's the last one of the old batch tomorrow before we move on to the new batch. So I will put the last old batch of Mario Odyssey up tomorrow. Then I will probably do another quick review just to break it up a little bit and get everybody ready. Then I'll do a Mario Odyssey and then Paladins Part 2. Because I've still got to keep doing all of this year's reviews. And Mega Man 11 and Runner 3 are going to be together because they kind of have similarities between each other with like obnoxious difficulties, the why you had number 2 to work off of, but that's a story for another day. So I know, as I say, I know Blame and Raticate are probably sitting there being like, I knew all of this stuff already. Some people might not have known that stuff. But at least now, we're all caught up and we are ready to move on to part 2, which again, I don't know if I'm going to put up part 2 straight away or if I'm just going to quickly do the Mega Man 11 review as well, just to keep things moving smoothly. But either way, sometime this week you are now going to see part 2, which is going to be covering Paladins, Champions of the Realm, and then part 3 will be covering Realm Royale. So thank you for watching. Here is the list of Patreons because they are very lovely people. If you'd like to join this list, there is a link below to support me further on Patreon, as well as links below to the Discord if you want to come in and talk with me. Because I have started doing something, and this is what I want to do for a lot of reviews, and I want to change my review style in the new year, where I basically, even if the game's not out, I go and see the good and the bad. So like Blame was arguing on the side of good for Paladins, and here's just a little snippet. That's fine, but I'm going to give you three questions and I'm going to answer it. I want you to answer them. Like, 1, it's going up, they're obviously trying to do something where they're pushing and pushing and pushing. Ascension Peak 1000, Drogos 1200. This event is 1,400. And you're saying it's fine. That's completely fine. Whether you say it's fine, whether people hate it, there's obviously people like you
there has been little to no people that have complained about price changes.
That's fine. Because it's clear that there is still people that are accepting this price increase. Even though it's increased twice, there's still people that are accepting it. What happens next event when it goes to 1,600? Do you think that 1,600 is acceptable?
Honestly, I go by what I see. If they give me something where I see it's worth it, maybe. At least for myself. I can't speak for everybody. But if I see something where I see it's worth putting my money in, then I will do it. I will say, okay, it's worth it. Why not? They're giving me the quality. They're giving me skins that I want for characters that I want. Why wouldn't I fucking buy it?
What if it went up to 1,800?
If it went up to 1,008, like I said, even for me, like that price is like starting to really push it. They're starting to push. Let's see, how much is a crystal pack? So they would have just passed the 25, the $25 mark. And so now you're pushing into the 35 bundle, which is what the average of a person wants to spend for maybe like a month or two. That's when you're starting to push a bit. That's starting when you're starting to push a bit too much. And should it ever hit 2,000, they better be offering you the fucking moon, because that is a lot of fucking money at that point.
Right, and my next question.
But like if it's for a small increase for like 200 to 14, up to 15, I feel pretty comfortable. Anything past 15, it starts feeling a little awkward. But again, that's me. And there are some people that maybe have a higher tolerance. But in general, I still feel like, again, if they're offering something that's worth it, they're giving you other things, and not just saying, oh, here's a skin that we barely put any work into, then of course, no, then it's not worth it. But if it's obvious they're putting the work into these skins, they're giving you something neat, giving you, along with, events that would normally come with, then fine.
Yeah, so that's like about 30 seconds, and I just want to do that now. And what I want to do with reviews is I want to make all reviews kind of 2 parts if necessary. Like Mega Man 11, not that necessary, but for big games that are really divisive among the fan bases, like Fallout 76, I've got Fiora, or Sunrise, this green pony here, who said that it's not a Fallout game, they're not going to buy it, it's a terrible idea on Bethesda's part, no way. And I'm getting an interview with her where she basically lists all the bad points, why it's a bad game, and that's to come. But I've already got Crystal's side of the argument, where it's a great game and it's a good idea for Bethesda to experiment. Like, here's a bit with Crystal.
A Fallout. What makes Fallout games to be a Fallout game? And I want to hear your opinion because you have played them.
Okay, my opinion of what makes a Fallout game is being in a post-apocalyptic landscape where your main goal is whatever the narrative tells you the narrative is, be it rescue your son, find the man that shot you, and across your journey you will meet several colourful characters that you will grow to love and bond with, and these characters will also aid you in your quest, provide you with side quests, and overall you'll be going on an adventure.
Okay, so your 3 points is post-apocalyptic setting, a directed narrative with the finding of extra colorful characters.
Yeah.
And the adventuring.
Yes. And, well, as an extra, an RPG karma-based system as well, which is the big bone of contention for multiple people. Okay,
well, it has always had the RPG elements in it since the first one with the strategy, with the turnout and stuff like that. Okay, but you have those points there. Now tell me, which of those points is not present in Fallout 76?
There are no NPCs is the first one.
Do we know that for sure? Have they confirmed that?
Now confirmed. Many big sites like IGN have got hold of the beta to review. Several people that pre-ordered the game have got the beta to review, and there are 0 NPCs. All quests are given via a computer. Like the very first mission, you are told that you have to find the overseer of the vault. You are told to find the overseer by text on a computer, and then when
so we lost the NPCs.
Yes.
Everything else still stands.
No. You see the
why not?
Because the next part of the whole RPG thing, it was already kind of fucked in Fallout 4, is now without NPCs, there is no longer anybody to roleplay with. So your role-playing's gone, and the karma-based system is no longer present. Like, it wasn't present in Fallout 4, which again a lot of people hated because your actions wouldn't have consequence like in New Vegas or Fallout 3, but now it's completely gone because you can't have these moral dilemmas whether to save or kill Sanctuary because there's no one to kill or to save.
Okay. Fair enough. You still have the other 2 points. Do they still stand? You are still in a post-apocalyptic setting. You're still going on in adventuring.
I mean, 1 point is a somewhat stand. You are still going on an adventure, but the adventure was discovering settlements and places and people to enrich that adventure. And without that enrichment, you kind of lose part of what made Fallout. So yeah, like, I want to do that in the future. If it's a divisive game like this or Fallout 76, I want to get both sides of the argument thing, like a good side and a bad side, upload that as one part, like a part 1 where you see the good side and the bad side, and then the part 2 is the review, so that you can be in the same position as me. So you've heard all of the bad arguments, all of the good arguments, and then you get to judge for yourself as I play through the game. I tell you what I feel is my personal opinions of the graphics, of the music, the gameplay, etc., while also listening to what the other, like the fanboys and the haters, if you will, have both said. So that's something new and interesting that I wanted to do. And as somebody that is slightly against Paladins, and I've got someone that was completely against Paladins, I was like, I think I like this, because I did, basically, with Blame, I just hit the record button, because he was defending it, and I was being calm, and I was giving rational questions to him, saying, well, what if this is this, or what if this is that? How do you feel about that? And as I was saying the first couple of questions, I'm like, I actually like this footage, and I just hit record. I just pressed record, and then when it come to Fallout 76, I was like, you know, Crystal, I'm going to actually record this so that, like, when it comes time, if I can get Furia on, which I probably will this Saturday, I'm going to just say, like, here is part 1 with the good and the bad side, and then here's me actually playing it and telling you everything I saw. So you've kind of got like a 3-way review, and you've heard the most negative of the negative points, the most positive of the positive, and then you're coming into it with me where I'm taking both of those points into account, but also making my own opinions. So I want to kind of do that. So yeah, that's just a thing, and I don't know if I'm going to upload this full thing with Blame, because it was kind of just a, let's just snap, we've just pressed record out of instinct to kind of have this little section to demonstrate what I want to do in the future. So I don't know if I'm going to upload the entire interview with Blame or not, but it was just kind of a thing to say, hey, I've heard everything, and I have, like, had my own experience, and now I'm going to review it properly. So look forward to that. Anyway, as I said, this was the Patreon list, and you can support me further down below. There's links down below to the public Discord if you'd like to come in and just have a general talk, and maybe if there's another game that is extremely divisive, I'll get the good side and the bad side from you personally. And then there's a link to my Twitter if you want to see what I'm tweeting. And yeah, that's about it. If you don't want to miss out on part 2, don't forget to subscribe and ding the bell so the notification goes through. And I'll see all of you tomorrow with the last of the old parts of Mario Odyssey. So till then, enjoy the rest of your night.